So, to tell you a little bit about me, I'm Helen. I've got 3 children. Jess, my oldest, is 17. Jack is 14, and our baby Millie has just turned 10. And I was introduced to hypnobirthing back in 2005 when I was pregnant with Jack. Now, my first birth back in 2002 was my first pregnancy. Really was an experience of not knowing too much, not knowing anything at all, and not doing a lot of investigation or not putting much thought into the birth process. And the midwife that I chose in that pregnancy was a midwife who lived closest to me, because I thought that would be most convenient. And after that, I just kind of followed her lead as to how the birth might be. And when I got to 40 weeks pregnant, she said to me, well, if you don't have your baby next week, within the next week, we'll book you in for an induction. And so I didn't have my baby in the next week, because a lot of first-time mums don't have their babies until 10 or 12 days past their due date. And so I got to week 41, and she said, okay, well, if you haven't had your baby in a few days' time, we'll book you in for an induction, and this is the date, and this is the time, and this is the place. So I was booked in for the 26th of February 2002, and on that morning, early about 4 o'clock in the morning, I started getting all the signs of going into labour. And it was really gradual and really slow, and throughout the day it slowly progressed. And my midwife came to my home and she checked me, and she said, well, okay, great, things have gotten started, but we've got an appointment, so I'll see you at 6 o'clock tonight and we'll get things moving from there. And so, like a good patient, I turned up on time at the hospital, and things got sped up, and they certainly did. So from there, I basically had all the drugs, and I was given Syntocin to speed up my labour, and it certainly did that. And after an hour or 2 of that, my midwife said, okay, so now it's time for some pethidine. And I said, oh, okay. And the pethidine made me feel absolutely terrible, and she said, okay, we'll get you an epidural. We had the epidural, and my baby actually knew what to do, my body knew what to do, and things were continuing to progress. So it got to about 1 o'clock in the morning, and my midwife said, right, okay, you're fully dilated, baby's been descending for a while, I'll give you another 20 minutes, if she's not out, we'll get the obstetrician in. And she came out, just as the obstetrician walked in the room. And she was happy and healthy and wide-eyed and alert, and my midwife complimented me on a great birth, and off we went to birth care. Second time round, I got pregnant, and I thought, right, I want to do this very differently. I don't need all the drugs. I don't need all that intervention. My body, my baby actually knew what to do, and I chose a very different midwife in that pregnancy. And it just so happened that when I was about 4 months pregnant, I was given a book. And it's a very similar book to what you have all received tonight. This book here, I was given the edition that was around in 2005. It was a different colour book. And my auntie gave it to me, and she just read it. And my auntie is a hypnotherapist. And she asked me if I'd like to read this and what I thought of it. And so I read the book, and it made a lot of sense. And I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to read the book before coming here. You probably haven't. You have, yeah. And it's a really easy read. And it made a lot of sense. And she said to me, okay, I'm thinking of training to teach this course. I'm going to go to Sydney next month. I'm going to train to teach this. Would you like to try it out with me? Basically, would you like to be my guinea pig? I want to test it out on you. And not so much those words. And so we did. And she walked me through the program. She took me through the program, and I found it really helpful and really beneficial. And it was really helpful throughout a time in my life that was actually chaotic. 2005 was one of the most chaotic years of my life, in terms of having a whole lot of change thrust upon us that we weren't really asking or expecting, like having to move house 3 times in your pregnancy when you'd only planned to move once. And my partner lost his job, and he moved out of Auckland for a while to get some work temporarily, and then I found myself at my parents' temporarily, and everything was very very temporarily. We had nowhere really to be when this baby was born. And what I learnt here actually really, really helped me through that journey to keep my feet actually on the ground and keep me focused. And it was very, very helpful through my birth. Very helpful. And when Jack was born, my midwife was actually laughing. And she was laughing because she found it very interesting how this baby had come out of me quite so easily. She says that it looked like I had an epidural. Of course I didn't need any intervention. And he wasn't a little baby, he was quite a big baby. And she took a photo of us just after Jack was born, about an hour after he was born. She laid him out on me and she took this photo of him out on me, and I'll pass it around and you can have a look at it. And here is this great big fat happy baby about this big on me, and she was just absolutely amazed about how this hypnobirthing program had worked for me and how it had helped me. And I was amazed too. I was very, very grateful that I'd had the opportunity to be able to have something to be able to use through this birth. And so, of course, I told my auntie this hypnobirthing stuff was great and she was probably going to teach a lot of people. And she went off and did another training course called Hypnofertility. And she is now, that's been her thing for the last 15 years. She is a specialist in helping couples to get pregnant naturally using hypnotherapy and EFT and other modalities. And she's very, very successful at that. When Jack was 1, I trained to teach the course. And I've been teaching it ever since. I never imagined that I would teach it for more than a few years, but 12, nearly 13 years later, I'm still teaching it, and I cannot imagine a time when I won't be teaching it now, because I've really, really enjoyed it. And I love it because it's such a good program. And I've had the absolute privilege of sharing this program with around about 850 couples from all walks of life, from all different nationalities, from all different backgrounds and cultures and ideas and beliefs, and couples who go on to have all sorts of different experiences. I know that a lot of people have an idea of exactly what they want to have in their birth, which is great, and a lot of people don't, which is also great. And I know a lot of people come along to this course for it to help them, and it will absolutely help you regardless of what set of circumstances you face. Because we all want a nice, comfortable, smooth, easy birth, and I teach a lot of couples who go on to have that. But there are some situations where we just don't have control. And when we don't have control of the situation, it's so wonderful where we have got a set of tools and techniques to help us control the way that we respond and the way that we react to a situation. And that's where I really love this course, because it will teach you a variety of tools and techniques to use in a variety of situations, plus in your life. And I'm going to remind you time and time again to use what you learn now in your pregnancy. Use it when baby arrives, and use it after baby arrives. It's a short time in life being pregnant. It's a shorter time in labour and birth. It's a much longer time life with a baby, a child, and one day teenagers. And you will possibly find some of these tools and techniques just as useful in 15 years' time as you will now. So I will always keep reminding you to use these tools and the things that you're learning for a variety of situations in your life. So 10 years ago, almost exactly, a couple of weeks ago, Millie turned 10, she was born. So that was another hypnobirthing experience. For me, that kind of cemented the fact for me that hypnobirthing actually works. I had thought it might have been a bit of a fluke first time round, but no, it was even better. She was born in the water, 3 hours, start to finish. And that was an exhilarating experience. And so I've been teaching hypnobirthing, since 2007, and have also done a lot of other training in the hypnotherapy field. I've done a lot of work with the mind-body connection, a lot of reading, a lot of listening to different podcasts, and all sorts of things, a lot of research, and I've just found it an absolutely fascinating journey. I now work as a hypnotherapist as well as teaching hypnobirthing, and offer services for stress, anxiety, chronic pain, do past life regressions, do work with women going through menopause. But my most favourite thing to do is to teach this class to help pregnant couples have a better experience, and then I also teach another class for life with baby called the Car Mama class, which is actually growing in popularity quite a lot. So that is a little bit about me, and I'd love to know a little bit about you guys.